about face distance away, a head's distance.
Yeah.
Testing.
1, 2. 1, 2.
And then give it like a fucking...
A little how you do?
A little how you
You
doing.
like that, don't you? You like when I do that to you.
We got another episode of Intellectual Dummies. We got part 2 of Sandra Birchmore. Big update, big deal, and it was all because of us. Or so I like to think so, because my ego is huge. Yeah, if you've watched our Sandra Birchmore episode, some very nefarious shit happening on the South Shore. And we thought nothing was going to get done, but we got some real-time updates.
Yeah, no, we definitely do.
Yeah.
I've never been so happy to be wrong in my fucking life.
Yeah.
So, okay, real quick, 2 trigger warnings. I think we should repeat the first one, that this is going to involve some disturbing discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, just because of the last Sandra Birchmore episode, this is an adult podcast.
Yeah.
And I have a filthy fucking mouth.
Yeah.
And I just can't apologize for it, and I'm not going to, because when I get going, it's a natural thing, you know?
Yeah.
So Matthew Farwell in handcuffs, thanks to the Department of Justice and the FBI.
And us.
Yeah. And us. Absolutely and us. Actually, in all seriousness, there was, and I had mentioned this in the last episode, there was a tremendous podcast that came out a little over a year ago on Jesus Christ, Barstool Sports, called The Case. And those guys deep dived into Sandra. And I honestly think that their podcast might have had something to do with the FBI finally looking at this thing. Because when you listen to the interview yesterday from Joshua Levy, he said that they've been on this for about a year, which is about when that podcast came out and started, I think, putting a lot of pressure. So It kind of goes to show independent people really do make a difference.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? There's been so many people involved with Sandra, but let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. All right, I just wrote a few things down just because I don't want to. So, all right. So yeah, let's start with the DOJ. They came out yesterday, had a federal indictment on Mr. Farwell, Matthew, not William, after a grand jury indictment, a federal grand jury. And he is charged with murder of a witness or victim. This is different than even murder 1. Okay? This is a federal crime that carries with it the possibility of the death penalty.
That's crazy.
And, listen, our mutual friend at work, when he messaged me over the CB yesterday, I don't know if you heard what he said, but he asked me if I was watching Grace Curley.
Yeah.
And I said, no. And he says, you need to turn it on because they got the guy. And I what a mix of emotions, man.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, that last episode we did was fucking hard.
Yeah.
It was a hard fucking episode to get through.
Yeah.
Not just about Sandra and what happened to her, which we have new details of that we're going to talk about real quick, but just about that Police Explorers program and just how deep the depravity goes with that.
Yeah.
I honestly think the FBI, and this is just me talking, I honestly think they might be on the verge of busting a huge pedophile ring here.
I wouldn't doubt it, man.
I mean,
because they're here. They're definitely here working on stuff.
They are.
You know.
They are.
Yeah, man. It's no joke. I honestly think that between this, the Karen Reed, and the monopoly on murder investigation that for some reason the state police have in this state, the corruption ran so deep that they just had no choice but to be like, all right,
no more choice.
Let's go over it. We got to get over there and figure some shit out.
There was just no more choice. So let's talk about a little bit of what the Fed said yesterday, which is a little bit different from information we had previously. All right, so one of the first things we learned is that less than 2 weeks before Sandra died, a friend of hers had called the Stoughton Police Department and said that Matthew Farwell was not just in a relationship with Sandra, but that he was starting to become physically violent with her. Okay? Whoever took that phone call, for whatever fucking reason, decided to tell Matthew about that phone call.
Wow.
And then 2 weeks later, this woman is dead. Also, what happened in between those 2 weeks was that for the first time ever, he asked for a key to her apartment. And Sandra was telling her friends, it's really weird. He's coming over and kind of like investigating my apartment and looking at things. And apparently, including the closets, also the one where she was found dead.
Yeah.
So this scumbag was pre-planning this. There is no doubt that this was premeditated. He was scoping her apartment for her.
Oh, absolutely. How can we best set this up?
Yeah, no.
Absolutely. And if you're a cop, you know how to do it. I mean,
well, that's the whole thing,
goes without
too.
saying. Yeah.
That's the whole thing, too. And so, I mean, not only that, not only did he know how to do this, but I think he also had the people on the inside that would protect him. I think one of the biggest scumbags that's going to come out of this entire thing, along with the Karen Reed, along with the Turtle Boy case, is Trooper Garino. That fucking just shitbag. Okay? He was the one who said, oh, I didn't find anything on Jen McCabe's phone talking about a Google search of 227. I didn't find any deleted phone calls between her and multiple people between 1 o'clock and 5 a.m. I didn't see any of that. I didn't see any text messages from Matthew Farwell between him and Sandra Birchmore. Do you know how many fucking text messages the FBI found?
Yeah, it was like thousands.
32,000.
See, I was going to say 3,000.
30
fucking 2,000
fucking text messages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they somehow overlooked, mind you.
Yeah, Mr.
They were
Garino.
overlooked.
Mr. Garino, the state police's cell phone extraction expert, somehow missed these 32,000 text messages that I'm guessing the FBI found in about 3.5 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
All right. He didn't miss them. He's not stupid.
Yeah.
Trooper Garino is not an idiot. He was covering.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is no doubt in my mind that he was covering for Matthew Farwell. No doubt that he was covering for Brian Albert, who was just another grade A piece of fucking shit.
Yeah.
I purposely wore this shirt, the Fudge shirt, for a couple of reasons. I'll get into the second one in a minute. But anyway, another interesting thing. The family had found a broken necklace. It was, I guess, a thin gold chain. It was around her neck. But it didn't break at the clasp. But instead, what they found at the clasp was a chunk of hair, of Sandra's hair, in this necklace. So perhaps that was the beginning of her tragic demise.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things from yesterday's, yesterday's press conference, one of the interesting things Mr. Levy said, and I'm going to quote this. I was thinking about trying to play the whole video, but fuck it. I'm just going to quote this because this is interesting. Giving voice to the voiceless, ensuring nobody is above the law, protecting the vulnerable people of Massachusetts. That is the highest calling of a police officer. And then he went in to say how Mr. Farwell certainly broke that trust, and how also. So this is where it gets interesting, and maybe just ties into Karen Reed a little bit. I almost think this was a signal about Karen Reed, and I'm not trying to be use hyperbole here, but very seriously, the next thing he said was that no matter where the cases take us or who has to be arrested, we have to do our job without any favor or fear.
Yeah.
So I think the arrest of Matthew yesterday was the beginning, man. I think this asshole is just the first domino to fall. Interestingly enough, now I watch a lot of the, and listen to a lot of the court cases that are going on involving Sandra, because it's not just a civil case. There's also the disciplinary hearings of these 3 officers, right? There was Matthew Farwell, who now I think that's getting covered. William Farwell, his brother, and Robert Devine. They're all facing disciplinary hearings, and what the estate of Sandra is trying to do is take away their ability to practice being officers. They still have their ability. They could go to another town and be hired on as a police officer. So what they're trying to do is make sure that doesn't happen. But apparently, A judge in one of those cases 2 days ago, and I missed this hearing, said that the Department of Justice and the Attorney General have to start releasing information to the defense. I think this pushed the FBI into making the move.
Yeah.
I don't think they were, from what I've heard also too through other things, Shaun of the Gulf, who's another YouTuber, has a great channel, a retired DEA agent, he was saying that he didn't think that they were waiting to make this move. But it kind of forced their hand. Like, you want to see fucking evidence? Fine, fuck it. Here's some evidence for you.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah. Again, keeping in mind that Matthew Farwell was 6'4" and Sandra was 4'10", and this guy is getting...
Oh.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, let's go live on Instagram. Fucking great. Yeah, Sandra was 4'10". He was getting physically violent with her. There is a 63-page court document that goes into it's the charging documents of Matthew Farwell.
Yeah.
I did not read all of that because I don't think I could. However, give me a second because I know I wrote this down. Oh, also, too, another interesting thing is that a reporter was asking Joshua Levy yesterday, how come the previous state investigation found this as a suicide? And they refused comment on that.
Of course they did.
I think that is another big signal. Also, he said that they're sharing the information with Norfolk County and the Massachusetts Attorney General to, quote, see if they wish to proceed with state charges. I'm looking in my notes, but I actually have it on this article that I sent you. And I'm just going to read this. And this is as far as we're going to go with this tonight, as far as some of the disturbing details of what's in this court document. Just give me 1 second here. And I'll tell you something. Another reason I'm wearing the Oh Fudge shirt tonight, and perhaps the biggest reason, is because I truly hope that when it was discovered that Farwell was arrested and had the federal indictment, and that the FBI had been working on this case for over a year, my biggest hope is that not only the state police troopers that were involved in all of these cases, including Aidan Carney's, but Jennifer McCabe, her fucking scumbag husband, Brian Albert, Kevin Albert, Brian Higgins, I hope they all shit their pants.
Mm.
And I hope they all said, oh, fudge, only it wasn't fudge. They're in some shit.
Oh, absolutely.
They are in some shit. This is the first domino.
Mm.
I really believe that. I'm starting to think that Karen Reed's never going to see a second trial because these bastards are going down before it ever happens.
Yeah.
Also, as a side note, I would mention Microdots, who I've mentioned a million times. The guy is an incredible videographer and makes incredible videos. You got to check him out. His latest video on the pre-trial hearings in Karen Reed and how Beverly Canone, the judge in the case, was so incredibly biased against the defense. You watch this 30-minute video and you're like, how the fuck is this possible? And what's supposed to be like the leading state of justice. So just give me a second to find this.
So do you think she's being nefarious? The judge?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question.
Wow.
She had... I'm going to give you a perfect example of something. Today, Aidan Carney was in court for his witness intimidation charges, of which Garino has also withheld. That case is beyond fucked as well, okay? What's going on there and what his lawyers have found out is that Trooper Garino, who Aidan Carney had no idea was even working this case, was also responsible for the cell phone extraction in that. Mm. And as it turns out, Mr. Garino withheld a shit ton of text messages between the prosecutor and the so-called victims in the case. Wow. It's really a problem. Because the one thing Aidan has always said is that it was purely a setup. He always comes with receipts. That dude does not miss when he shoots. And one of the biggest things for him has been that the special prosecutor, Ken Mello, was conspiring to set this dude up. They wanted him out of the picture because for a year, he had, since April 2023, over a year, he has been the loudest voice in the free Karen Reed sort of, it was because of him that became so popular.
Yeah.
And he has never held back in calling these people murderers that were at 34 Fairview Lane that night.
Yeah.
And I think that created a problem for them. And they need to get him out of the fucking way. And I think they set his ass up. And I think he's going to come with receipts. But the whole point of this was that when he was in court today, the judge has a very small relationship with the prosecutor. It's not even a current relationship. It was a relationship from years ago.
Interesting.
And Aiden's lawyer said we would feel a lot better if you've accused yourself, despite it's nothing personal, but we would feel a lot better if you didn't have a relationship with the prosecutor. The judge fucking recused himself. No problem.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Beverly Cannoni, there are stacks and stacks and stacks of proof that she knows who the Alberts are, she knows who all these people are.
Oh, like personal connections?
Well,
Really?
keep in mind too, her brother is the one that defended Chris Albert in the 90s when Chris Albert hit and killed a man from a DUI. Her brother was the lawyer for Chris Albert in that case.
Oh, fuck me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Insane.
That's crazy.
It's absolutely fucking mental. All right? So, all of this, like you said in the beginning, it's all happened in Norfolk County. It's all the same state troopers. Fucking Bukaki, Proctor, who's not even a cop anymore. Garino. Then you got the Canton cops, Link, Kevin Albert. It is so incestuous that it's fucking, you would think you were in a trailer park in Alabama. I'm sorry, Alabama. But you know what I'm saying. I mean, it's bad. Yeah. It's really, really bad. So, okay, again, give me a second here. I had it and then I got side railed. Okay, here we go. So there was an article. Now I can't find the article. No internet connection. Oh, why am I in airplane mode? Jesus Christ. Go live, Mike. So it will be a great idea. Here we go. All right. And again, keep in mind that all these guys involved with Sandra were married with kids. Oh, by the way, just to bring something up. When we had talked about the Sandra Birchmore a month ago, and we brought up Robert Devine. Remember that fine piece of shit?
Yeah.
The former deputy chief for the town of Stoughton. You remember how Tory brought up Tiffany Overstreet, the woman he was having an affair with?
Yeah, that they were harassing and whatnot, right?
Well, right. Supposedly she was harassing him
and
his wife and doing all these terrible things. Well, as it turns out, maybe not. As I was listening to some of these hearings with Sandra Birchmore and the disciplinary board, apparently Mr. Devine wrote those text messages to himself.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. Apparently she wasn't doing any of this shit. In fact, it turned her life so upside down. Oh, another little detail to that. He used the full force of the Stoughton Police Department to go into her home and take all of her electronics. That's
insane.
As if she was a criminal.
Yeah.
She had done nothing criminal.
That sounds super illegal.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It sounds that way because it is. Apparently that is all nonsense. And this woman had to change her name and move to a different part of the country because it destroyed her life that much.
Wow, that's insane.
So, as it turns out, Mr. Devine was lying from the very beginning.
Wow.
And again, just to backtrack for our audience, when we talk about Sandra, he was responsible for Matthew and William Farwell. They went through that Police Explorer program in the early 2000s. Let's be fucking crystal clear. He groomed them to be predators.
Yeah.
Then they go through military, they graduate school, they go through the military, go through the police academy, return to Stoughton, and become just that. Fucking predators.
Yeah.
So, here we go. I don't want to read from the 63-page document, but I am going to preface what is in it. I feel like we went through enough disturbing shit last time around, so I'm going to keep it to this minimal. This is just a paragraph out of this article that was released on the day Matthew Farwell was arrested. A 63-page court filing presents evidence that Farwell initiated violent role-playing with Birchmore. Less than a year before her death, and communications between the two, so this is part of the 32,000 text messages that Trooper Garino couldn't find, Farwell allegedly described pinning her down during sex and asking her, "Will you say, 'Matt, stop, I'm 13 and I'm not ready for this. Oh my fucking God, please stop.'"
What the fuck? That's insane.
So when this young woman was now in her early 20s, the only thing that could apparently get Mr. Farwell off was if she pretended to be 13.
Yeah. Wow, that's sick. That is sick shit.
That entire 63-page document, which can be found very easily, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be able to read it or not.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't think I will, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't think I need it in my life. I think just that little excerpt alone is enough to give a very clear indication of what Mr. Farwell was all about.
Yeah.
So, just again, to bring this whole thing full circle, I think this is just the beginning of justice for Sandra.
Yeah.
I think a lot more pieces are going to go down. I think this Police Explorers program, even though the FBI refused to comment on it in the question and answer portion of the interviews yesterday, and said, "Oh no, we don't have anything to do with that." Of course, I think they most certainly do.
Yeah.
I really do believe in my heart when it comes to Sandra, man, there is like a massive, massive pedophile ring.
Absolutely, yeah, dude, I think so too. Absolutely.
And I also think that the state police, and I think Mr. Scumbag Morrissey, our district attorney in Norfolk County, I think they're well fucking aware of it. And I think they're very used to covering up crimes of other police officers.
Yeah.
And I think it is finally, God only fucking knows how long this has been going on. I mean, let's be realistic. I don't have the information off the top of my head, and I apologize, but I'm not exactly sure when Mike Morrissey was elected in Norfolk County. But, I mean, it's been at least since the early 2000s.
Yeah.
If not longer. You know, so I mean, and then keep in mind, listen, keep this in mind too, and it makes me want to pull whatever fucking hair I have left right out, is that they did such a terrible job, and again, I think it was a straight up cover-up, that it left Farwell on the streets to do God knows fucking what for 3 years before he's finally fucking arrested 2 days ago.
Yeah.
They fucking knew what this guy was doing.
Absolutely, they absolutely did. I mean, because you think about, I mean, if the state police has a monopoly on the investigation of murders outside of Boston, Worcester, and Springfield, right?
Correct.
You would think that they would know what a suicide looks like. So, Sandra Birchmore, I mean, we kind of went over this a little bit in the last one. Mm-hmm. If you're going to commit suicide, I'm not worried about doing my laundry. I'm not going to be making my appointments for my dentist or whatever. Mm-hmm. There are certain things that I'm not going to order something online.
No.
Because I'm probably so depressed, I plan on killing myself weeks in advance.
Yeah. Yeah.
My apartment's probably in disarray because I'm not planning on doing anything, because what's the point? Exactly. Now, as we both know, that was not the case. No. Wasn't their laundry not even switched over yet?
Actually, no. So I know we discussed this yesterday. Yeah. I was actually wrong. There was laundry in the washer and the dryer.
Oh, okay.
She had just called that fucking day to set up an appointment with a photographer for a new baby shoot.
Yeah.
That day.
Yeah.
That fucking day. And then, yeah, she, like we said, she fucking... Because, listen, right, by the time... If the FBI has been investigating this for a year, this is August 2024, so let's say, be so bold as to say June 2023 they decide to come into this investigation, okay? That's 2 years after she's found dead. There's nothing left at the scene. The apartment's been rented out. There's nothing left in the washer or dryer. So what fucking evidence does the FBI have that the state police didn't have? Fucking none.
Yeah.
It's the same evidence, dude. You know what I mean? With the exception of maybe the fucking Dr. Holden there, the medical examiner in New York. But, I mean, what did they go off of that the state police could not have gone off of to see that this was obviously a fucking homicide? It's nonsense. Complete and utter nonsense. And I hope, man, I'm a hard sell, as you know, on things like heaven or anything like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But dear God, if there is something after this life, I hope Sandra can see this somehow and is starting to smile just a fucking little bit. And for the people that are alive, her remaining family, an aunt and some cousins, whoever, I just hope that yesterday started to give them some semblance of hope. And now my hope is that the rest of these assholes go down.
Yeah. Because
this is a far bigger problem than the Canton police doing a shitty investigation. It's the state police doing a shitty investigation, but more than that, like we just said, they're covering the shit up. Absolutely. Let's be fucking real.
Absolutely.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll say it. Fuck you. I mean, honestly.
No, you're absolutely right. And, I won't name this person's name, but take my word for it that he's a very close person to me. And he said to me, because I was talking to him about this, and you could probably guess his occupation, is the state police cover up evidence all the time. They lie about evidence, they hide evidence and create evidence, and it happens a lot. Yeah. So, what are you going to do?
And then you're going to extrapolate this a little bit from Sandra, and you have to mentally do very easy mathematics to understand that, I mean, there are thousands of victims out here, man. In fact, I'm hearing rumblings already that other officers have been named through school programs, and other victims are coming out. So maybe Sandra's saddest yet greatest last act on this planet was to have this whole fucking thing blow up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And encourage victims, and I encourage victims of any sexual abuse to come. It's scary and it's fucking terrifying, but tell somebody you trust. Yeah. Tell somebody you trust, because it doesn't stop unless the biggest, brightest spotlight is on it. And it's not an easy process, but you have to fucking turn that light on and fucking just do it. Yeah. I mean, I know we kind of talked about Epstein a little bit, but think about how many years that fucking guy got away with doing what he did, and and look at all the work all the people around him did to keep the names of the people involved covered up. Yeah. We still don't know who the fuck was going to that island. Yeah. Yeah,
and not to mention, I mean, they fucking murdered the guy in prison. That's how deep that shit goes. Yeah. And that's probably that's probably all under the same umbrella. I mean, that's just the top of the pyramid right there.
It is.
If you look into a book called The Franklin Scandal, that shit runs deep.
It does.
And it's insane.
It is.
And it's insane.
It is. Jesus, this was, I mean, most of our viewers, I think, are in Massachusetts. I mean, this was happening in our back fucking yard.
Yeah.
Stoughton is,
I know.
We could piss on Stoughton from here if we tried hard enough, you know what I mean? It's not far. It's in our backyard.
15 minutes
it's in our backyard.
A 15-minute ride on the highway, yeah.
Yeah, and then that fucking scumbag Joshua Heel that we had talked about, who was also involved with Sandra, the animal control officer. Yeah. And what does he do? He goes on to become an Abington cop and start exploiting children in Abington.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy.
It's a 6'6", just, it's mental. So again, I also hope that Karen Reed was sitting down somewhere with a good stiff drink and had a little smile for herself, because I think this is going to I think this is going to end her case.
Yeah.
Because that woman did not kill Officer John O'Keefe. She did not back into him with her car.
Yeah, absolutely not. It's funny, just to touch on that real quick. Again, different guy that I know, police officer, was hit by a car going 60 miles an hour in the tunnel while working, while on a traffic stop. And he flew about 15 feet. But John O'Keefe gets hit with a car going in reverse and gets flung 30 feet.
Does the little pirouette. Alan Jackson's little dance in court, that will live in my memory forever. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen in a fucking courtroom trial. Karen Reed manages to back up 62 feet in reverse. It backs up, so that obviously means reverse. And gains in that 62 feet with her Lexus SUV a speed of 24 miles an hour, meticulously just clipping John O'Keefe, making him do a dance where he lands and, lays for apparently 6 hours, and that's it. With a polycarbonate taillight, which does not shatter. It folds inside of itself. The pieces would have landed inside. And no. That poor boy. But I mean, you know what? We laugh about it. But in all seriousness, what a fucking tragedy for her and her family.
Absolutely. All the money she's probably spending.
Holy shit. I mean, she's going to get that back. I hope she fucking owns Norfolk County when this is over. But Jesus Christ, to have to go through that and have a murder 2 charge hanging over your head now since fucking 2022? Holy shit, bro. That's not fun.
That's nuts.
So, but it's going to get resolved. This is the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
The feds basically just said, guess what? We really are here. We're in town, and we're not fucking playing games.
Yeah, and we're absolutely going to stay updated on this for sure. This is going to be a regular thing.
It is.
And if you're listening and you know of any other cases that you want to send to us to check out, I mean, we've been getting pretty good at this, so let us know. We'll check it out, absolutely, and see what's up.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, message us on Facebook, Instagram, whatever fucking way.
Intellectual Dummies on all platforms, or me or Mike, Lucas Nigro, or Mike DeSimone. Send it to us. We'll see what's up. Maybe we're going to try and do a Sandra Crispo episode. We'll see what happens with that. Look into that.
That's an interesting.
So
that's a deep dive.
Yeah, we'll see what's up. But yeah.
So good things happened 2 days ago, and I've never been so happy to be wrong. Never been so happy to be wrong.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, well, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for listening, and until next time.